Welcome to Les Mills Mindfulness. I suggest doing today's practice in a seated position on a cushion or on the edge of a bench with your legs folded in front of you. Or if you'd prefer, sitting in a straight back chair with your feet flat on the floor, or lying down on your backs with your hands alongside the body. So just finding whichever posture is comfortable for you now. And we want our posture to reflect an alert but relaxed attention. So making any adjustments now while keeping this intention in mind. Alert but relaxed. And we can extend gently through the crown of the head and move the chin in towards the chest. And checking in with the legs and shoulders and making sure that they're not tensed up. And when you're comfortable, allowing the eyes to close. When we close the eyes, we remove our visual stimulation. So just becoming aware of the other senses, the sounds that are here, the sense of touch between the body and the surface supporting us. In today's practice, we will gently place our attention on the movement of the breath as it moves into and out of the body. And we will notice before long that the mind will wander from the breath into thoughts. We may notice the point where this begins, when the strength of our focus on the breath starts to waver, or we may wake up inside a thought that has been happening for a short or long while. When we notice we have left the breath, we're simply going to label that moment as thought and gently return our attention back to breathing, awaiting the next thought that will take us away. We will have 3 periods of labeling thought in today's practice. So letting go of the instructions for a moment, and we're just going to reconnect again to our breathing. And dropping our awareness into the body, just resting here for a few waves of breath. And let's begin our first period of labeling thoughts. And placing our attention just on the in and exhale. When we notice we've left into thoughts, just labeling thought and returning back to the breath. And if we're unsure if something is a thought or not, we just label that moment as thought as well. Just return our attention back to the movement of the inhale and exhale. And letting go of this first recognizing and labeling period, and just resting here in the body as it is right now. When we're not aware of our thinking, we are identified with our thoughts. They blur with reality. By labeling our thoughts with the word thought, we can make them into an object, something we can be in relationship with rather than lost inside. With practice, we will begin to see an opportunity for choice in how we relate to thoughts, seeing them as tools rather than as truth. So bringing our attention back to the breath. Again, just with kindness and gentleness, just allowing yourself to rest in the body as it breathes in and out. And whenever we notice thoughts arrive, we just label it with the single word thought and return back to the breath. So let us begin our second round of labeling thoughts. Thoughts can take on many forms: daydreams, memories, planning. They can be very subtle or very obvious. Just if we get any sense that we've left the breath, just labeling thought and returning back to the breath. And just remembering an attitude of kindness as we observe this process. We're not trying to stop or control thoughts. Just recognize, label them, and return back to the breath. And letting go of this second period of labeling thoughts. And again, just resting here in the body as it is right now. And one way of looking at meditation is developing our ability to recognize thought. We will begin to see that thoughts arise by themselves and we cannot control this. What we can do is recognize them and seeing them as just puffs of information arising in the mind, and create some space between us and our thoughts and some choice in how we relate to them. So as we begin our final period of labeling thought, let's bring some curiosity to our attention. seeing if we can spot the moment when the next thought is beginning to pull us away from the breath. Let's begin our final period of labeling now. Recognize thought, label it, return back to the breath. And letting go of labeling now, and bringing our attention back to the body, and just resting here in stillness. And thoughts are a natural function of the mind that evolved to help us move through the world. But thoughts are only representations of reality in our mind, not actual reality. In meditation, we look to develop our ability to see thoughts when they arise, seeing them as separate from us, just information arising in the mind. And in that space between us and our thoughts, we can allow for the opportunity for choice in how we relate to them. So as we bring the practice to a close, let's again start to bring a bit of movement into the body, and becoming aware of the points of contact between the body and the floor, the body and the bench or chair, and the sense of the clothing resting against the skin. And becoming aware of the sounds that are here. And taking some nice, long, slow breaths. Letting all the air out of the body on the exhale. And then in your own time, allowing the eyes to open. And thank you for your practice.